If Iran blocks the Straits of Hormuz, what impact will it have in the entire world? And which country will be affected the most? First, let us understand what the Strait of Hormuz actually is. It is a smaller of 33 kilometers located between Iran, Oman and the UAE. It is a narrow sea passage which almost 20% of the world's oil supply flow, nearly 17 million barrels every day. This oil comes from 8 countries located in the Persian Gulf, including Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, Saudi Arabia and the UAE. For the United Arab Emirates, 90% if their oil exports pass through this narrow route to reach the rest of the world. If Iran blocks the Strait of Hormuz, the following countries will suffer the most damage. First is India, because it imports 85% of its oil. 60% of that comes from Middle Eastern countries like Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait and the UAE. Fuel prices in India would skyrocket, and as a result everything related to oil industries would face severe disruption. Industries could shut down, there will be job losses and the economy will be severely affected. The second most affected country would be China, the world's largest oil importer, bringing in 10 million barrels of oil every day. 40% of China's oil imports pass through this Strait of Hormuz. Although China has built oil pipelines with Russia and Central Asia, they don't even fulfill 20% of its energy needs. So if the Strait of Hormuz is blocked, China's economy will suffer a massive blow, and if China's economy is shaken, the effects will be felt all over the world. The third most affected country would be Japan, as it imports 90% of its oil and 75% of the passes through the Strait of Hormuz. The fourth most affected country would be Saudi Arabia. 80 to 90% of Saudi Arabia's oil goes to the rest of the world through Strait of Hormuz, while only 10% goes to Europe via its Red Sea coastline. So if this choke point blocked, Saudi Arabia's economy will be heavily impacted. Imagine a country suddenly loses 80 to 90% of its revenue. What would happen to it? Something similar could happen to Saudi Arabia. There's also a high chance that Saudi Arabia might send its military to reopen the route, and that could make the situation even worse. Fit this to Pakistan, which gets about 90% of its oil through the Strait of Hormuz. This oil meets 27% of the country's energy needs, but if the route is blocked, prices in Pakistan could shoot sharply. But there's an interesting twist, since Pakistan shares a border with Iran, and several government reports suggest that Pakistan's 35% diesel comes unofficially from Iran. So if the strait is blocked, Pakistan might turn to Iran for oil, either quietly or through an official deal. Next in line is the UAE, because it is nearly 72% of its oil exports rely on this Strait of Hormuz. But the country does have a backup option, perhaps the Habshan-Fujairah pipeline, which allows it to bypass the strait and export up to 60% of oil. But for major economy like the UAE, losing the remaining 40% will be a serious blow. Next comes the European countries like France, Germany and Italy, which on average gets 10% of their oil through the Strait of Hormuz. A blockade here would hit them hard as well. Globally, experts warn that oil prices could soar past $100 to $150 a barrel, causing widespread inflation and possibly triggering a major global recession. So this small 33 kilometers area holds enough power to shake the entire world.